Hello, everybody. Okay, so this is the weekly short live office time with me to talk about some of the lessons I've learned on being an entrepreneur. And today I'm joining you actually from my home office. And you may remember last week I actually talked to you about launching my Possibility Architect mentoring program. So if you joined last week, you know that I talked about my desire to establish a way to mentor entrepreneurs, in particular women and minority entrepreneurs, because I get asked a lot about mentoring, and it's been very hard with my numerous businesses to be able to dedicate one-on-one time. So I've been thinking through the last couple of years, how can I do that? And then I came up with my program, Possibility Architect. So as part of that, we are now doing weekly office time live chats with me, I should say, on a weekly basis, usually on Fridays in the morning because it's the best time for me. So today I want to talk to you about impactful networking. So one of the things I have noticed as I am out and about, in particular, networking to do business with very large corporations, because all my companies sell to large corporations, the federal government, state government, municipalities, and things like that. And there are conferences that are designed to promote those opportunities where you bring women or minority entrepreneurs in rooms or spaces where corporations and government agencies want to find suppliers or vendors or business owners to do business with their corporations. And there's a common mistake I see that leads to a lot of frustration, and that is the concept that when you go into these environments or wherever you engage with these kinds of corporate or government representatives, there is an expectation often that they are the ones who actually can make the decisions around doing contracts with you. And so I have learned over the years that it's really important to understand what is the purpose of your networking, and when you meet individuals, to really understand whether or not they're a decision maker, they're an influencer, or they are someone who can make an introduction. So let me tell you how I talk about the three. So someone who can make an introduction is someone who obviously has a relationship with a corporation or a government agency with which you want to engage with and do business with. They're not necessarily internal, but they have the ability to use their trust to make an introduction for you to someone internally. An influencer is someone who is within the organization, and in my case, sometimes they are supplier diversity professionals, depending on the business. Sometimes there are others, but they're not necessarily the ones who make a decision or certainly don't have a budget, but they're an influencer internally, again, using their trust and also knowing how the organization or agency operates. They can make an introduction to their colleagues internally that would be the right ones to initially evaluate you and your product and offerings and services. And then there are those who are decision makers. And decision makers are the ones who actually very often hold the budget. So they are the ones who can give the final okay. They are the ones who can allocate the budget or have budgets. And they are very often the ones who will make the final say. Now, there is one other type of individual in a corporation or a government agency, and depending on your type of business, it's called the technical influencer or decision maker. So if you're in a space that's technical or providing some kind of expertise, there may be someone internally who needs to evaluate the validity of your offering, because they're going to be the ones who are using it or implementing it, but they're not necessarily the ones who hold the budget. They're not the ones who make the decision about the buy. So I share that with you to say that I see a lot of frustration, because I see in these instances, in these opportunities to meet individuals, we expect them to do one thing when they're not in that category. They may be someone who can make an introduction. They may be an influencer. And often I see people make the mistake as if we expect them to be the decision maker and have more ability than they have. So it's really important to understand the role of various people that you're meeting with, and also about providing value to them so that they are willing to use their trust to make the introductions or help facilitate you into the organization, or if you are happen to be engaging with the actual decision makers, the people who hold the budgets, you also want to make sure that you are speaking about your offerings in a way that is talking about the value and the benefits, two different things. So in my Possibility Architect mentoring program, I have a whole, actually I've developed a spreadsheet. It's a very simple spreadsheet. And when I meet individuals, I actually categorize them into what role they have. And then that allows me to understand how is it that I'm engaging with them, what kind of value I'm providing to them, because networking should always be about how you can provide value to them. It's not that you just want to take from them, but you also want to give to them, understand what their motivators are, understand what their needs are, understand what their objectives are, understand and identify ways to be helpful. And sometimes it has nothing to do with their job, by the way. In a conversation, they may say something that triggers an opportunity for you to say, oh, I know the perfect person to introduce you to. Oh, I know the perfect article to send you, or a book to send you, or, I mean, there's a myriad ways of thinking about this. So in my Possibility Architect mentoring program, I actually have so it's not that big of a deal, but it's a spreadsheet that I've developed over the years that allows me to identify and put individuals into certain categories, and then I also identify what is my next step with them. And therefore, I am not spending time getting frustrated by having misaligned expectations. And that's really, really key, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, in particular women entrepreneurs in these spaces, frustrated, because they're not making progress, but not realizing what is the role of that individual in the organization. So I hope you'll check it out. I have a master class that talks about my life experiences and some of the lessons I've learned. That's free. You can access it at possibilityarchitect.com. I hope to see you in my mentoring program. And frankly, I hope to actually see you on a weekly basis and have a lot more engagement with all of you. Thank you so much.